To those of you viewing from the audience today, and to those of you who are viewing virtually or online, I extend my heartfelt greetings to all of you. I wish to also express my appreciation and well wishes to the Bermuda Arts Council for their commitment to ensuring that this event took place this year. This occasion is particularly poignant because the arts have suffered tremendously during the last 2 years of the pandemic. So it's wonderful that we can come together to recognize and highlight the importance of art in all of its forms during this ceremony. Today, we're here to celebrate the recipients of the annual Bermuda Arts Council Awards. These are individuals who have made significant contributions to Bermuda's artistic and cultural landscape over the years. Since the inception of these awards, we have paid tribute to more than 150 individuals in our community who have dedicated their lives to shaping and preserving our artistic and cultural heritage. And we welcome into this prestigious group 6 more Bermudians deserving of this award. They are Major Kenneth Tokidill, who will receive the Lifetime Achievement Award for his immense contribution as a former Bermuda Regiment bandmaster and music teacher. Paul and Penelope Leseur, who will receive the Patron Award for their very generous support of the arts in Bermuda. The late Ted Ming, who will posthumously receive the Founders Award as the former group leader and lead vocalist of the Bermuda Strollers. Ted Ming was a true ambassador for Bermuda tourism and a pioneer and a visionary in his field. Marjorie Pettit, who is also receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award for her renowned work with the Bermuda School of Music as its Director of Music. And Daren Herbert, a rising star, who will receive the prestigious Earl Cameron Award for his critically acclaimed career as a theater, stage, and film actor. All those being honored today have much to be proud of, for they have truly left their mark on our island. They are 6 deserving Bermudians who have inspired so many of us with their artistic creativity and passion. Each of our distinguished recipients has in one way or another shaped our community with their creativity, commitment, and passion, and we are forever grateful for their contributions to Bermuda. Thank you.
Bermuda Arts Council's Lifetime Achievement Awards were introduced in 1987 to highlight and honor Bermudian artists who have created a significant body of work and are therefore respected in their art form. Later, the program was expanded to include Founders Awards, presented to local creatives who have paved the way for future generations by being pioneers in their art form, and Patron Awards, which signify our community's appreciation to persons who have contributed significantly to Bermuda's artistic landscape through their generous support of the arts. Most recently, in 2019, Bermuda Arts Council introduced the Earl Cameron Award in honor of and with the blessing of Bermuda's distinguished son, the late Earl J. Cameron, CBE. This award is presented to a Bermudian professional in the field of theater, cinematography, film, or video production. This award is intended to encourage persons in early to mid-career whose commitment, passion, and expertise in their craft are evidenced through their body of work. As Minister Peets has already outlined, this year we are honoring 6 well-deserving awardees. As chairman, it is my great pleasure to present the 2021 Bermuda Arts Council Awards.
Though he retired as head of the civil service, for many Bermudians and visitors, the name Major Kenneth Tokidill instantly summons the spectacle and euphonious sound of the Bermuda Regiment Band. No wonder, for 12 years, Bermuda's youngest and first formally trained bandmaster, and subsequently director of music, could be seen year-round conducting the band in countless outdoor concerts throughout the island. The monthly Beat the Retreat ceremonies, the annual peppercorn ceremony, the agricultural show, opening of Parliament, and Queen's Birthday and Remembrance Day parades, along with regular concerts in the parks, all made the Bermuda Regiment Band an integral part of Bermuda's heritage and an important tourist attraction. Crowds thronged to these events. Part of their enjoyment was experiencing the palpable enthusiasm and energy which Toki instilled into his instrumentalists. Former bandsmen, under his direction, remember him affectionately for his sheer love of music, irrepressible sense of humor, and constant encouragement. His 3 catchwords still ring in their heads: discipline, determination, dedication. His Bermuda Arts Council 2021 Lifetime Achievement Award also pays tribute to the many musical accomplishments he fulfilled during and after his leadership of the band. In his spare time, he was musical director for 3 musical stage productions staged by BMDS: My Fair Lady, Oliver, and Jesus Christ Superstar. My Fair Lady being his favorite. He relished the opportunity to conduct a professional orchestra. Teaching music at the Berkeley Institute, he founded and directed its school band. In addition, he founded and directed the Bermuda National Youth Symphonic Band, which crossed the racial barriers of the time. At one stage, he was director of music for Bermudian entertainer Gene Steed. He also played piano in several regular gigs and directed the North Village Band once a week. Born in 1945, Toki grew up with a musical family. His father, Cecil Bird, was a professional trumpeter and a member of the North Village Senior Band, while his 2 uncles were also professional musicians. At age 10, Toki began to play piano by ear. He also has proud memories of playing drums for the North Village Junior Band in the Easter Day parades. A student at Howard Academy, he joined his first band, the Sprites, led by his friend Kingsley Swan. Both Toki and Kingsley initially played by ear, but were taught music theory by Professor Joseph Richards, head of the music department at the Berkeley Institute, whom Toki remembers as being kind and patient. Thanks to the professor, Toki excelled in both theory and performance. His music hero, jazz pianist Lance Hayward, took an interest in his playing, often constructively critiquing his public performances. Once he left school, Toki joined other groups, including the 9-piece Subdominant Brass Band, which in 1968 won an all-expenses-paid trip to play in the 1970 Trinidad and Tobago Carnival. An unwilling Bermuda Regiment conscript at the time, Toki realized the trip coincided with his next annual regimental camp. What seemed an annoyance proved providential. Told that he could take the trip as long as he ran the canteen at Admiralty House for the regiment band camp, he spent 2 weeks there playing a piano in a separate room during band rehearsals. On hearing him, the director of music, Major Dunn, asked him to become a bandsman, suggesting that he learn the clarinet, which he agreed to do. In June 1970, Major Dunn offered him the opportunity of a lifetime to study at the prestigious Royal Military School of Music, with the understanding that he would become bandmaster on his return to Bermuda. Fast forward to 1975, armed with his bandmaster qualification, LRAM and ACRM, Toki duly took over the position with the challenge of raising the Bermuda Regiment Band to new heights. In this, he succeeded, fired by the knowledge that the band inspires national pride. By 1980, the band membership had grown from 25 members to over 70, with women being included for the first time. One member was his younger brother, Barrett, who became the band's director of music. Another he recruited from the Berkeley Institute Band at the age of 13 is the current band's director of music, Major Dwight Robinson.
I wouldn't go so far as to say his legacy was anything tactile. He didn't build buildings, tangible things. He built relationships. Whether that was individuals with individuals, whether it was individuals with the craft, he was able to get people to touch get in touch with that visceral aspect of this thing called music, and then take that and allow that to be carried forward to other relationships.
Toki remembers many highlights about the band under his tenure, but two stand out. One was in 1983 when Queen Elizabeth visited Bermuda aboard the royal yacht Britannia, accompanied by the full-time Royal Marines Band. Both bands played at a special Beat the Retreat ceremony performed on Front Street, during which the Queen took the royal salute. Bermudians and visitors especially enjoyed Toki's arrangements of popular island music. At a social gathering, the Marines Director of Music commended the local bandsmen for their disciplined musicianship. Another emotionally charged highlight in 1982 was traveling with the Canadian Lincoln and Welland Band to Bergen op Zoom to commemorate the Allied forces' liberation of this province in the Netherlands. The bands held a memorial service for fallen Bermudian and Canadian soldiers, afterwards marching through the city, saluted by grateful crowds. Toki also remembers affectionately that the band became like family as they enjoyed outside activities together, such as recreational outings and charity drives. As Toki says, music has always been in my soul. Looking back on his musical career, he reflects, I'm most proud of showing the community what joy music can bring.
I can sum it up with a British poet, and she said, music moves us, we know not why. We feel the tears, yet cannot trace their source. That sums it up for me. It's that music is so inspiring, and we have an opportunity to share that inspiration with all of those who are listening to us perform or conduct or whatever.
Today, Toki is enjoying a well-deserved retirement in the Dominican Republic, where he still plays the clarinet and his first love, the piano.
Well, I take the opportunity to thank the Bermuda Arts Council for the acknowledgement. And indeed, I think I thank significantly the person or persons who nominated me for this award. You know, sometimes we forget to remember those upon whose shoulders we were able to fly and take off and do things that we needed to do. And I thank also the late Joseph Richards, who was so significant to me in piano playing, and all the other groups that I played for, the Subdominant Brass, the Howard Lee Trio, the Philip Dublin and his Dublinaires, and the Brown Sugar, Gene Steed Review. So all of these helped to shape me to become the person that I am today. So I thank all of those. And I would sum it up by saying, in the words of John Keats, but before I say that, let me say that throughout my musical journey, all I wanted to do to accomplish was to demonstrate to the community and to the wider community, to the world, the joy that music can bring. And finally, in the words of John Keats, let me have music dying, and I seek no further delight. And as we say here in the Dominican Republic, Jah.
Cellist Pablo Casals once said, "The greatest respect an artist can pay to music is to give it life." This is exactly what Marjorie Pettit has done for music during her 55-year-long career in Bermuda, and she has done it so generously. Under her direction, numerous adults and youth have been able to participate joyously in a myriad of orchestral and chorale concerts, pantomimes, musicals, and light opera, while packed, appreciative audiences have enjoyed hearing music performed to the highest standards. She has worked with the Saltus Concert Society, has been musical director for the Bermuda Musical and Dramatic Society and the Gilbert and Sullivan Society, and has conducted major works for the Bermuda Festival, as diverse as The Mikado and Brahms' German Requiem. She founded and directed the St. John's Youth Choir for 15 years, after which she became director of both the Bermuda Chamber Choir and Orchestra and the Youth Choir for the Bermuda School of Music, positions she holds today. For many Bermudians, Marjorie's annual Joy to the World choral concert is a much anticipated integral part of Bermuda's Christmas celebrations. Although even more impressive is that all the while she had been a full-time music teacher at Prospect Primary School and at Saltus Grammar School, and from 1987 a private teacher in her own studio. How fitting it is then that Marjorie is being honored with the Bermuda Arts Council's 2021 Lifetime Achievement Award. Marjorie's passion for music stems from her childhood. Born in Ayrshire, Scotland, in the land of Burns, she lived only a few miles from Robbie Burns' birthplace. Much of her childhood was influenced by his poetry and songs. She was surrounded by music, as her father was a professional violinist at the Gaiety Theatre Air, playing for pantomimes, revues, and light opera. He was always encouraging, she remembers. Her familiarity with the theatrical scene would come in very useful later in her work with BMDS and with Gilbert and Sullivan. Though she enjoyed listening to classical music from an early age, she didn't start piano until she was 9. Her piano teacher, herself a very good pianist and singer, taught with passion, and was to become a lifelong mentor and friend. After studying hard at Irvine Royal Academy, Marjorie followed her father and teacher's footsteps by studying at the Royal Scottish Academy of Music, now the Royal Scottish Conservatoire. At the Academy, her first study was piano with White Henderson, and her second was singing with Ina Mitchell. It was a very comprehensive 4-year course with many other musical studies, she explains.
I had very, very good teachers all through. And one in particular, the teacher I had from the age of 9, was my piano teacher, and she was also teaching me in school. And she was the one who directed me towards the Academy of Music, as well as my father. But she always said, pass it on. Those were her words. Because I was so grateful for what she did. So I've tried to do that.
Marjorie particularly enjoyed accompanying other artists, such as singer Alexander Oliver, who is still a friend. Graduating with her diploma in music education from the Royal Scottish Academy of Music, she taught for a year in a Scottish high school as a junior member of a large music department, though as director of an excellent senior girls' choir. Tired of the bleak Scottish winter and inspired by her friends who were leaving Glasgow in search of further opportunity, Marjorie successfully applied for a teaching position in Bermuda at Prospect Primary. Soon after arriving in 1966, she met Tony, now her husband of 52 years, who introduced her to Jean Motier, then organist and musical director at St. Paul's Church, Paget. Marjorie joined her choir there, Jean becoming the biggest influence in her chorale conducting. She also continued her piano studies with Professor Geoffrey Tankard, gaining her LRSM diploma. Geoffrey was a great influence in my early life here, she explains. Further, Marjorie adds, I had studied chorale conducting at the academy, but girls then were not given the opportunity to conduct orchestras. Geoffrey opened that door for me with advice and training. My opportunities to develop and contribute after leaving the academy have almost all been Bermuda-based. To Bermuda's great benefit, Marjorie clearly made the most of those opportunities, conducting sometimes as many as 2 major concerts a year. It would be impossible to mention all of her productions. However, in addition to the Mikado and Brahms' German Requiem, one of her favorites is the unforgettable Mozart and Flowers Festival, held in 1991, whose program featured both Mozart's Clarinet Concerto and Requiem. Another is Britain's Ceremony of Carols, sung by the St. John's Youth Choir. She has special affection for BMDS pantomimes too, particularly Cinderella and Alice in Wonderland, in which Bermudian star Rebecca Falconberry played Alice and was also Marjorie's first private student in singing. In 1994, Marjorie received the Queen's Certificate and Badge of Honor for her contribution to music. What have been her key challenges? Balancing her musical work with her responsibilities as a mother of 2 sons was the main one. She cannot stress enough the support she has had from Tony, who notably has sung in every one of her musical events. Another is the organization required to direct both choirs and orchestras. In this, she has been helped enormously by her producers, Marjorie Stanton, Jean Masters, and Laura Macbeth. She looks back on her career with satisfaction, happy to have worked with many excellent singers and instrumentalists. But working with the youth has been her passion. Marjorie says that encouraging children to sing and play music is my greatest achievement, because unless you teach them to sing, you won't have adult societies. And knowing some of those students still remember after 52 years, that's the best.
If you have a children's choir, and for example, in the School of Music, I have the youth choir. And some of these children have gone through now to join the chamber choir. But the problem in Bermuda is that one has some very good singers at the age of maybe 17 and 18. Then they'll go off to university. So they're not going straight into an adult situation. But when they come back, they'll look round and, you know, if there's a choir operating, they'll join. So it's never lost, never lost.
Let one of those students, alto singer Fiona Dobson, have the last word. Singing in Mrs. Pettit's choir at St. John's was a highlight of my time at school in Bermuda and has given me the confidence to join many other choirs since.
I'd like to thank the Bermuda Arts Council for giving me this award, specifically Dr. Kim Dismont Robinson and Jennifer Phillips, who's chair of the Arts Council, and Dr. Peets. Thank you all very much.
Bermuda is another world.
Tonight, we honor, posthumously, one of Bermuda's most iconic entertainers, Thaddeus Rudolph Ming, who for 50 years was group leader and lead vocalist for the internationally renowned band, the Bermuda Strollers, which he founded. Popularly known as Ted, he was also dubbed Ming the Music Man and Mr. Entertainment Man, for the very good reason that his life force was music and performance. As his daughter, Tadina Wolfe, remembers, he was driven to succeed and always on stage.
One of the things that we'll fondly remember of Dad is he had this way of just working a crowd. No matter where you were, no matter what was going on, he had such a colorful persona, you know, to be able to just reach people at all levels. It didn't matter what ages, he could just bring people out of their shell.
Along with his band members, he was also known as a Bermudian ambassador. As sponsored by the Department of Tourism, Ted and the Bermuda Strollers put Bermuda on the map, showcasing it to visitors both here and abroad as the best tourist destination. During the peak of Bermuda's tourism in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, the Bermuda Strollers were much loved by college students during college weeks, as band member John Birch told the Royal Gazette. Bermuda was kicking then. We played for 3,000 college kids every week for 6 weeks every year. They played in hotels and clubs such as Elbow Beach, the Clay House Inn, and the 40 Thieves. They also performed on booze cruises, often aboard the Kenema. Former educator, government minister, and unofficially Bermuda's professor of local music, Dale Butler explains that Ted was a master at bringing college weeks in Bermuda to life. He was like honey to the students, and they would refuse to leave the dock once the boat came in. It would be 2 to 3 hours before they stopped dancing and got off. Ted's daughter, June Tucker Gordon, remembers playing hooky from school to watch him and the band perform at Elbow Beach. We hid in the crowds. They used to go ballistic and wild when the band performed. His daughter, Jennifer Swan, also remembers how the crowd would go crazy the minute he stepped on the stage. Once college weeks finished, the Strollers continued playing for the visitors who flocked to our shores during the summer season. But they also brought Bermuda's music and charm to North America, to packed audiences in Canada and the US, traveling along the east and west coasts. Annually, they took part in the Jerry Lewis Telethon in New York. According to fellow member and drummer Dexter Dillis, as reported in the Gazette, in the mid-90s, the band also played in a concert in New York Central Park for the New York Marathon before an audience of 3,000. Other highlights, he said, included traveling to Boston to promote college season and to receive a proclamation of a Bermuda Strollers Day by the then governor of Massachusetts, Michael Dukakis. Ted was particularly proud of being given the key to the city of Boston. Ted's love of music began at a young age, as June, Jennifer, and Tadina agree. Growing up on Cedar Hill and on Ord Road, he began playing the harmonica. As Jennifer explains, the origin of the band goes back to the time when, at the age of 15, he worked with his friend John Johnson at the Elbow Beach cycle store. There, they both entertained customers, Ted playing the guitar and singing, and John playing congas and maracas. They moved on to playing 3 evenings a week during cocktail hours, during which they strolled among the guests, which led to their band's name. By 1955, the Bermuda Strollers Band was officially formed, with other players such as his brother Gladstone Ming, David Monas, Rudy Ford, Dexter Dillis, John Birch, Ronnie Lopes, James Colin Harvey, and James Martinez joining. Soon they became familiar and sought-after figures on Bermuda stage, known for their calypso music with songs such as South Shore Bermuda, Wings of a Dove, Yellowbird, and Island in the Sun, becoming crowd favorites. Their music could also be heard on albums recorded by Eddie DeMello, including the unbelievable Bermuda Strollers, Volumes 1 and 2, and The Best of the Bermuda Strollers. Daughter Michelle Edwards explains that the 1964 Calypso for Collegians was his first album and her favorite. I love how young and innocent he sounds. Her favorite song is Bermuda Farewell. To me, it's a love song to Bermuda and all the people he loved. Stay With Me is another of her favorites because it's a song he wrote himself. In addition, the Strollers were known for their colorful attire. At Elbow Beach, they used material from the hotel's prettiest curtains in the world for their first sets of trousers. June remembers her father's outfits as being loud and bright and captivating, while Tadina says they were funny. She laughs and thinks, think colorful curtains with no fear for the normal. Call the fashion police. What were the magical ingredients that made the group so successful? Ted was certainly respected for his fine voice and musicianship. Everyone, however, who watched him perform agrees that Ted's gift for drawing a crowd was a major factor. As Dexter told the Royal Gazette, he was a natural. When he stepped on stage, he would grip a crowd. He could light up a stage like nobody else. June remembers her father calling students onto the stage during college weeks. He'd ask them questions, she says, and make them sing certain songs and give away t-shirts. He was always ready to perform. Tadina recalls his wild stage presence and high energy. Each of his daughters remember his sense of humor and joke-telling. He was also known for his generous spirit. His youngest daughter, Kim Ming Simons, who shared Ted's love of marathon running and often ran with him, appreciated how he always shared his musical talents with her husband and children. Michelle has similar memories when he visited her family in Canada. She recalls them giving an impromptu concert in her living room. Ted's tireless commitment to the Bermuda Strollers and to the world of Bermudian entertainment was legendary. It is therefore entirely appropriate that the Founders Award be bestowed upon him. As a pioneer and as a mentor for his fellow artists and to future generations, he will always be remembered with admiration and with affection. Ted is survived by his daughters, June Tucker Gordon, Jennifer Swan, Tadina Wolfe, Michelle Edwards, and Kim Ming Simons. He was predeceased by his son, Thaddeus Rudolph Ming Kingo, Jr.
I'd like to thank the Bermuda Arts Council, Minister Peets, fans from Boston to Colorado to all over the world for this honor and recognition. If Dad was here, he would have been just so honored that his contributions and the band's contributions have been recognized. And we are very grateful for this honor.
It is noteworthy that Paul and Penny Leseur are the first married couple ever to receive jointly Bermuda Arts Council's Patrons Award. The Patrons Award honors their extensive voluntary work with many nonprofit organizations dedicated to the betterment of Bermuda and its people. Both were taught by their parents from their earliest years of the importance of giving back to Bermuda. They have consistently followed that philosophy during their almost 60 years of marriage. Their countless hours of donated time have contributed to attractions and facilities in Bermuda which we now hold dear, but may perhaps take for granted. Their contributions appear, for example, in the National Museum of Bermuda and the outstanding Commissioner's House, in particular at Bermuda College, Stonington, at the Bermuda National Trust, Waterville Rose Repository, in the Dudley Butterfield Wing and Jesse Vesey Building at Bermuda High School, at the Somerset Long Bay East and Vesey Nature Reserves and Eves Pond, acquired by Buyback Bermuda, and throughout the artwork displayed in Queen Elizabeth Park. This well-deserved award is the culmination of Paul and Penny's shared dedication and is now yet another of the many things they have in common. Both were brought up in the hotel industry. Born and raised on Valley Road and Harbor Road, Paget, Paul was schooled at Mount St. Agnes Academy and at Saltus Grammar School. His family owned Buena Vista, a small hotel on Harbor Road where, as a teenager, he had his first work experience that led to his career in hospitality. Penny was born and grew up at the foot of Scar Hill, Somerset Bridge. She attended Bermuda High School for Girls. Her love of this school would prove significant. She attended boarding school in Pennsylvania, thereafter followed by another 2 years at a small liberal arts college in Massachusetts, where she particularly enjoyed the subjects history of art and language of design, both of which would prove significant. Penny's father, John Young, also became involved in the hotel industry when he ran a small guest house in 1948. By 1958, he had opened the Lantana Colony Club in Somerset, which would become famous for its welcoming charm and the art throughout its grounds. By 1961, Penny was hired as an artistic director for the new Bermuda at Home show held in the East Exhibition Hall, which is now the Bermuda National Gallery in City Hall. Eventually, she worked in Trimmingham's decorating department. However, until Lantana closed some 40 years later, she would always be working there, in the beginning as part-time, and later on as a full-time member of the team. She was responsible for keeping Lantana's interior and exterior decor relevant to the times. As chance would have it, Paul met John Young during a Bermuda briefing trip in 1960. In 1961, Paul agreed to come to Lantana Colony Club as assistant manager. Not long after, he was appointed resident manager. Paul and Penny had met at a sailing class, but their relationship grew close once he joined the hotel. In 1963, they married. Working hours in the hospitality trade are long and arduous, so their lifelong commitment to charities while working at Lantana, as well as afterwards, is all the more admirable. In the early 1970s, Paul, always having a strong interest in Bermuda's history and architecture, along with its preservation, was one of the first members of the National Museum, formerly known as Maritime Museum, and subsequently became its chairman, serving for 14 years. During this time, and together with Dr. Harris, he began the museum's first capital campaign to restore the then derelict Commissioner's House. Paul's interest in history also led him to become a member of the St. George's Foundation, which was created to support the old capital's new UNESCO status. Again, in the early 1970s, Paul was appointed to the advisory board of the Bermuda Hotel School at Prospect. Once the hotel school, the Sixth Form Center, and the Technical Institute amalgamated, he became a founding member of Bermuda College's board, subsequently becoming its third chairman. Of course, the diverse, practical skills gained from running Lantana and his role as past president of the Bermuda Hotel Association and the Hotel Employers of Bermuda ideally positioned him to help the hotel school transform into Stonington Beach Hotel, which offered first-class hospitality training. Along with this came his passionate interest in passing on his experience to the young and promoting opportunities for them. He recalls that people completing the hotel program had a strong sense of pride. In addition, Paul joined the Bank of Bermuda's board as one of its youngest members, eventually becoming deputy chairman and subsequently founding member of the Centennial Trust, an organization which, as part of its mandate, offers opportunity to the young. He presently remains one of their board of directors. When he stepped down from the National Museum's Board of Trustees, Paul then served on the Bermuda National Trust's Council. He headed the Preservation Committee, which made him, until recently, responsible for historic buildings and open space. He is as well a founding member of Buyback Bermuda, which is jointly run by the Audubon Committee and the BNT. Penny shares his commitment to the BNT. Indeed, she served on its environmental committee for 30 years, becoming its longest-serving member. Her fervor for protecting open space was so valued in 1990 when she was appointed to the Parks Commission, and from 1998 to 2020 when she was the BNT's representative on that commission. Once again, she was its longest-serving member. Like Paul, Penny began her nonprofit organization's work early. In 1973, she was a trustee of the Bermuda Arts Center, Royal Navy Dockyard. During that year, her alma mater asked her at an unusually young age to join the Committee of Management at Bermuda High School. She remained responsible for the portfolio of buildings and grounds until her retirement in 1990. But her work with BHS was not over. In 1991, she was asked to chair the school's centenary celebrations, culminating in 1994. Next, she chaired a capital campaign for a new sports building that was to become the Jesse Vesey Sports Center in 2003. Again, she set a record for the longest stretch of service. Penny's love of gardens and gardening began, she says, with her Somerset and Hamilton grandparents. Her aging maternal grandmother worried about the fate of her roses growing off King Street in Hamilton. Promising to take care of them, Penny dug them up and took them to the rose garden she grew at Lantana. Joining the Bermuda Rose Society, she and fellow Rosarian Bill Mercer planted the first rose repository at Waterville. Later, in 1990, she joined the Bermuda Garden Club, becoming heavily involved with their Open Homes and Gardens program. Indeed, she and Paul twice opened their home, Peppers, to the public. Her decorating experience at Lantana proved very useful. As she explains, Bermuda's tourism was built upon Bermudians inviting visitors into their homes. It also came in use when, in 2009, the BNT asked her to care for their furnishings on loan to Government House by assuming responsibility for the building's public spaces and refurbishing them when necessary. When Paul and Penny walk in Queen Elizabeth Park, they must inevitably be reminded of their years at Lantana, since the outdoor art exhibits throughout the park once graced the grounds of that hotel. In their desire for Lantana to be a museum without walls, Penny's parents collected sculptures and art from Bermuda and overseas, with Penny often traveling with her father to New York. Once Lantana closed in 1998, Penny oversaw the donation of her father's art collection to the Bermuda National Gallery, along with a generous endowment.
And I love the arts, whether it's music, whether it's paintings, and I just feel being able to share art with other people is important.
Paul and Penny's combined devotion to philanthropy manifests their deep desire to give back to Bermuda and supports Penny's strong belief that many of Bermuda's organizations survive through the efforts of volunteers, contributing their time and energy.
We'd like to thank the Bermuda Arts Council for this award. We are indeed humbled to have received it. We want to thank each of the members and the minister, and again, thank them very much for it.
Darren Herbert is a proud Bermudian artist who has been dreaming, creating, and working on his craft for nearly 3 decades. He says he found his path in life upon entering the musical theater program at the University of the Arts in Philadelphia. Graduating with a BFA in theater arts, Darren then entered the MFA drama program at the University of California, Irvine. Right out of graduate school, Darren booked his first professional roles in The Wild Party at the Blank Theater in Hollywood, in Close to Home on CBS, and made his film debut in the star-studded movie adaptation of the musical Dreamgirls. It is a credit to his commitment to his craft and his strong work ethic over the course of a long affiliation with Lonsdale Smith and Company, Grace Moon Arts in Canada, that Darren has worked steadily on both stage and screen. Some of his favorite roles include Ogun in the Soul Pepper theater production of The Brothers' Size, Agent Bothwick in the romantic comedy spy film This Means War, Stephen in the national tour of the Broadway musical If. He currently plays the role of Nathan Green on the CBC comedy drama Pretty Hard Cases. Darren accepts the 2021 Earl Cameron Award with gratitude on behalf of the numerous mentors, collaborators, friends, and family members, some of whom are with us only in spirit, who have contributed to the success of his journey thus far. His hope is that the spirit of the legendary artist Earl Cameron may live on in his work and in the work of all the Bermudian artists who are striving to share their truths with the world.
Thank you for this award. My heart is filled with gratitude and appreciation for the Arts Council and its members, for the Department of Culture, for my friend and fellow dancer, Jennifer Phillips, and the many, many people who have mentored and supported me along this journey as a professional artist. I didn't know this would be my life, but it is, and I'm grateful. I've been blessed. I'd like to thank, of course, my parents, Brian and Lilette Herbert, for instilling everything they instilled and for challenging me and pushing me, and they continue to be supportive. My wife, Joanne, who is probably, I would call her my manager, my boss. She's the boss. And my in-laws too. You know, I've received support from all around. That's Ridgely and Susan Darrow. I would like to pay special tribute to a few of my many mentors along the way, not the least of which being Suzette Harvey, Pat Nisbet, Dunju Anderson, Alan Smith, April Chowdhury, Norma Vaucrossan, William Smith, so many people. And of course, people outside the arts who inspired me in ways that maybe they don't even know, like Francis Douglas, who was my first manager in the housekeeping department at Elba Beach Hotel, my first job as a young man, for basically instilling a work ethic in me. I'd like to thank the many people who have prayed for me and my family throughout, because it's been a journey artistically, but also just as a life, the life journey. And there's been lots of support, and there's people I know who have supported me financially. The Arts Council being one of those entities. I actually received some Arts Council support when I was a student way back when. It's over 20 years ago. Amazing, close to 20 years ago. Also the Department of Education, who helped me through school with a teacher training award. And of course, my parents helped pay all that back because I'm not a teacher, I'm an actor. Yeah, so many people. I think of the way things are now on the island. Some of my mentors are not with us anymore. I think of the late Harrison Isaac, who was my Cub Scout leader in Shelly Bay, and a lot of people who mentored us in ways that they really didn't have to. When I say us, I mean myself, my late brother, and many of the kids from my neighborhood, some of whom are not doing so well right now. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful. And I hope that I can repay the gifts in some way, shape, or form to the artists coming up behind me. Because it's not an easy road, but these days nothing is. You know, this pandemic, if it's taught us anything, it's that nothing's easy and nothing should be taken for granted. So I hope to be more than just an inspiration, but an actual practical help to the artists who come behind me. Because, you know, this is a step on the way to something else. So I'm going to take advantage of the time I have here, and I want to encourage other artists to do the same, you know? So again, thank you from the bottom of my heart on behalf of myself, my family, my daughter, Ori. I appreciate it.
On behalf of all of the members of Bermuda Arts Council, congratulations to our 2021 awardees. Lifetime Achievement Award recipients Marjorie Pettit and Major Kenneth Tokidill, to the family of our Founders awardee, the late Thaddeus Rudolph Ted Ming of the Bermuda Strollers, Patron of the Arts awardees Paul and Penelope Leseur, and congratulations to Darren Herbert, recipient of this year's Earl Cameron Award. You have joined the ranks of a long list of accomplished artists and patrons whom we have celebrated over the past 30 years. American poet Amanda Gorman has passionately expressed her excitement of having the opportunity to create art and thereby participate in an historic record. To our 2021 awardees, you are a part of Bermuda's historical record, and we thank you for your contributions to the arts in our island and beyond. In closing, I'd like to thank Minister Peets and the Department of Culture for supporting Bermuda Arts Council as we promote local artists. I look forward to seeing you all again next year hopefully in person.